In this tutorial in CyberLink PowerDirector, we're going to look at how to rotate a graphic image on and off the screen. I saw this from one of my long-term subscribers and was inspired, so I'd like to share how to do this with you. Please look at the following example and then we'll show you the technique. I've placed a video clip, this aerial shot of a campus, on track number 1. I also have a music track on track 3. I muted it because it's irrelevant to what we're going to focus on in this tutorial. Next thing I need to do is take my graphic image. I'll take and drag that down and put it on track number 2. And then we'll increase the duration of it to approximately match the duration of our clip. And there we have it in the center of the screen. Now I want to move it on and off the screen, rotating. How do I do that? Well, I highlight the graphic and click the Edit button above the timeline, and then I'm going to click on Advanced. That will open up the screen that you see here. If you do not see the keyframe controls, it could be your bottom panel is minimized. All you have to do is click on the arrow to either show it or hide it. And this blue arrow is the key to doing that. Next thing I want to do is make sure my timeline indicator is at the very left edge, and we're going to work with 3 different attributes for keyframes. We're going to look at position and scale and rotation. So I click a diamond at the very left on all of those. Then I decide how long do I want it to be before it winds up where you see it on the screen. I'm going to choose 4 seconds, so I'm going to hit 4 in the time code and press enter, and that will move my playhead to 4, and I'm going to set those same 3 values at 4 seconds. And how long do I want it to be there? Let's say we want it to be there for another 4, so that would be 8. I hit that enter again for time code, and we'll set those 3 values again at 8. And when do I want it off the screen? Let's say we want it off at 10, so I'll do 1 0. Press enter, and then I'm going to set them again. So I have all the values are the same, nothing basically changes, but we're going to change a couple of them. To move between keyframes, you'll use the left arrow. I'm going to use left arrow several times to get me back to the beginning. I'm going to change the position of this graphic image on the first keyframe. Easiest way to do that is drag it just off the screen. You're going to see that the pink line will make sure it's perfectly horizontal, and now when I play it, it just slides on without rotating and goes to the center of the screen. That's the start. Now what I want to do next is when it's on the screen, it will stay on through all the keyframes, but from this point to this point I want it to move to the right, so I need to change the right keyframe. I'll click the right arrow to make sure I'm on it, and I'll take the position and we'll do the same thing. We'll drag it off the screen. And now it's off the screen. So it freezes for 4 seconds and then it will move off. Let's see what happens. It moves on and then it will stay there and then it will freeze and then it will slide off. Now we want to rotate it. How do we do that? Let's stop this again. And we're going to start with the first keyframe on rotation value. So we're all the way to the left. We don't have any white arrows, which means we're all the way to the left. And we're going to take a rotation value under our object settings here and make it a minus 360. If I wanted it to rotate twice, I would type in a minus 720. So now it's a minus 360, and this value is the original, which is 0. So when I play this segment here, it will rotate in once and then lock there. That works great. So the next thing I want to do is I want to rotate it out. So to rotate it out, this value here is 0. This value will have to be the last one. I'm going to use the arrow to get exactly to it. I do the same thing, only instead of a minus 360, I'll change the value to a plus 360. That will keep it moving clockwise, and now it will rotate out. Let's see what happens. We'll play this. It's rotating in, and again it freezes for 4 seconds. And of course we can adjust the timing later if we want to, and it rotates out. But I want it to do more than that. I want it to shrink as it comes out. So I need to change the value of the scale between this keyframe and this keyframe. Because right now the scale at this one, I'll use the right arrow to click on it. If I click on look at my scale values, my scale value is 100%. And I want it to be different on this one. So I'm going to click on my right arrow to get to the last one, and we'll scale it down and make it smaller. And I can actually change the position on this one too if I wanted to simply roll and kind of drop off the screen. So I'm going to change my position just by using the mouse. And now it will scale off the screen and roll down. So let's stop that and play this and see what happens when we do this. Starts normal size, locks in the center of the screen for our 4 seconds, and then it scales and rolls out. The next thing I want to do is, because I've got something else, I'm going to click on OK. We'll save that. And I have another text element I want to use that I created before. So I'm going to go to my tools for my titles. And I'm going to click on a subcategory of the titles in my content, my custom titles. I have one called Get Tickets that I did for this tutorial. And I need to find here's the place where I want it to start, because I put a timeline marker in. I'll take my Get Tickets, drag it to the timeline marker. And then if we move just back a little bit, let's see how it interacts with that. We'll play this, and it starts to shrink and roll out. And then the Get Tickets will pop in to tell them where to get tickets for the alumni ball. That's one way to use this method to manipulate graphic objects with keyframes in PowerDirector.